I can't have a full bush, but men are literally walking around looking like Bigfoot.
Alexis Sunshine 83, it's always sunny here.
Hey Sunshiners, Alexis Sunshine 83 here. Last month I made the video Fashion Propaganda I'm Not Falling For, and I mentioned that I wanted to make a more positive version since we got a little deep in that video talking about Botox, overconsumption of summer essentials, etc. So I asked on my Instagram for Fashion Propaganda you're actually falling for, and I'm going to be going through some of those today. The first fashion propaganda you're falling for is modern medieval / Renaissance revival, and absolutely yes. I'm not a historical fashion expert, so I apologize if I get anything wrong, but based on what I looked up, medieval fashion was often utilitarian, whereas Renaissance fashion was more opulent, color, and artistic flair. Both I've been seeing in niche fashion communities, and it's so fun. Think Juliet caps, chainmail, the Renaissance fair. Please, somebody invite me to go to the Renaissance fair with them. I have so much FOMO. There was a little Renaissance revival in 2020, but I feel like it got overpowered by ultra fast fashion brands making cheap bustiers and just more of a costumey style. And I mean, you could say the Renaissance fair outfits are costumey, but the 2020 Renaissance revival just felt a little empty, whereas now it feels more solid with the influences we've been seeing. There was a medieval resurgence silhouette in the 70s, so I feel like a lot of people that are into vintage have been coming across those types of silhouettes and influences. It's not exact medieval, but even in the 90s, the love for velvet peasant tops has a little bit of that inspo, which is definitely something I'm personally open to. I think participating in this with secondhand clothes like antiques or vintage, or supporting small businesses that are making pieces in line with this, gets you a way better outcome than, again, the 2020 revival version, and feels way more lasting. This one is my own, and it's no surprise because I can't shut up about how much I love clothing swaps. I'm gonna manifest that 2026 is gonna be the year of clothing swaps. Obviously not a new concept, but I had never personally been to one until Lindsay Rem partnered with the Good Lube last October, and I've now been to 3 of theirs and 1 clothing swap hosted by my friend Macy. I'm sure every clothing swap is different, but the Good Loops usually say to bring a max 10 items and then only take as many as you brought. The first one I went to, I ended up not getting anything, but all 10 clothes I brought were snatched within 5 minutes. The great thing is racks are constantly changing. People are putting stuff back that they tried on, new people are showing up to the clothing swap, and it's not even about what you get, it's just overall such a positive, uplifting experience. If there's no clothing swaps near you, I'd recommend maybe starting one yourself. I actually would love to host one, so if you'd be interested, let me know. I love bringing pieces that are too special to maybe donate. Not saying that you shouldn't donate special items, but you know when you have those items that you just don't want them to get lost in the sorting sauce of a thrift store, but you also don't want to just put them on Depop and maybe none of your friends want it. And so seeing someone directly pick up your special item and continue the life of it is really awesome. So more clothing swaps. Visible mending is cool, and doing your own beaded embroidery or just DIY in general is going to be propaganda I am also falling for. I really need to get some hand sewing needles because I think these simple visible mending is way easier to do with hand sewing and something I'd love to add to some of my pieces. I've always felt a lot of pressure for any of my sewing projects or DIYs to be perfect, and I just don't have that DIY / crafting gene, so there's always going to be some sort of hiccup or something that just doesn't come out perfect, which I think is why I definitely prefer thrift flipping things off camera right now, because it alleviates a lot of that pressure and makes me proud of myself no matter what the outcome is. And based on a few that I've done, they've ended up better than any DIYs that I've done on camera. Doing something like adding a patch on top of a hole of your jeans or adding some embroidery is way less intimidating than using a sewing machine. It's a way to add a little unique touch to your items or fix something with an additional fun detail, and I love it all. A note about mending in general: if you feel like you don't have the skill, just take it to a tailor to get something fixed. I've noticed when people are talking about taking their clothes to a tailor online, they always give a disclaimer of, I know I could do this myself, but and then give a reason about why they are taking their clothes to a tailor. I even did it in my video where I took my clothes to a tailor, because you will get comments saying, oh my gosh, that would have been so easy to do yourself. You could have just done it yourself. But number one, not everyone has the time to do that. Number two, not everyone has the skill. Number three, there's items that I love so much that I just really don't want to ruin. Even if I could do it and I have done it, maybe there's a certain item that is so special and so beautiful that I just don't trust in my skill of potentially messing it up. And number four, I want to support a small business that has taken years to hone their skill. So that's also another fashion propaganda I am falling for, are tailors. Someone commented once that Kate Sanders really traumatized a whole generation into thinking outfit repeating wasn't normal. And I think also influencer culture has contributed to that as well. But re-wearing your clothes is normal. I think we're all just way too into our heads to realize that literally no one is paying that much attention to you to realize that you're repeating an outfit. I could wear the same outfit every single day and see the same people and they wouldn't even notice it. But online, I know for myself in the past, I've been like, oh, I posted a photo in this outfit 2 weeks ago. I can't post it again, which no one cares. No, like literally nobody cares. It's a cute outfit, so why wouldn't I want to wear it and post it again? You know, I used to not buy as many statement tops because I felt like I couldn't rewear them as much since people would notice that I'm rewearing it, as if that's a bad thing. So I ended up owning really similar, simple, basic pieces that at the end of the day looked the same anyway. Like it almost looked like I was just rewearing the same outfit, but it was different pieces and it just really limited me. And in the past year, I've really broken out of that and am way more drawn to statement pattern pieces and just being fine that you will notice more that I'm re-wearing it because again, is that a bad thing? No, it is not. If you do feel bored with an outfit you keep repeating, just switch up the accessories or your hair or maybe one element in the outfit. I will admit that I have said goodbye to pieces that I've loved because I wore them too much. Like that is the point of buying clothes, wearing, re-wearing. We are not celebrities. People don't care. And even if we were celebrities, we should still rewear our outfits. I love seeing someone wear the same jacket every day for the past 5 years on their Instagram because that is real life. Fashion propaganda you're falling for, and I am as well, is belly out summer, which, quick trigger warning for body/weight talk, you can skip to this timestamp. If you saw my last video where I mentioned how I would always steer clear of form-fitting clothing items around my lower stomach because I always get comments asking if I'm pregnant when I do, which thank you to all of your lovely comments about that on the video. I wasn't necessarily looking for compliments or for people to tell me that I don't look pregnant, but instead just wanting to enjoy a cute dress in my body as it is, and in a way be able to see how silly it is to not enjoy something just because your body may look different than what society pushes. I'm also just sick of seeing that comment, and I've never said anything about it because I felt it didn't need any attention on it, and in most cases I just delete the comment, but it's a pretty regular comment I get, and so I just decided to leave it in that video in hopes that I will stop getting that comment because that's just a weird thing to comment on a stranger's video. No matter what kind of belly you have, regardless if it's from organs, fat, IBS bloating, post-pregnancy, literally it's beautiful. I've really been reflecting a lot on insecurities I've had since I was 8-10 years old and feeling so annoyed by how much time I've wasted caring about them and how much self-hatred I've had. I'm just feeling so much love for child me, and as much as social media can be toxic, the amount of bodies we're exposed to now is something that I could have greatly benefited from. All I saw growing up was people like Keira Knightley and Misha Barton bodies, which if you have a flat stomach, cool. If you don't, also cool. It's just about one not being better than the other, like they are just stomachs. This could be applied to any type of body part that is deemed as bad, like having buccal fat Do we remember that craze? Or God, hip dips? That's why it's so sad to see this rise of skinny talk promoting extremely dangerous and unhealthy habits. Skinny is always a societal beauty standard, even during the body positivity movement, but it did feel like for a sec that maybe we'd have a generation of people that wouldn't have the same toxic diet culture embedded in them like all millennials do from the early 2000s. In a way, it feels radical to wear things that outline your body rolls or low rise when you don't have a super flat stomach. I am still straight size, so I'm not trying to take this conversation as if I am the most affected by something like this. There's so many other creators that experience so much negativity just by existing and talk more about this topic, so I will leave their accounts in the description. I saw this clip of someone talking about how their 93-year-old grandma is still insecure about her arms, and like, imagine you made it to your 90s and the societal beauty standards are still making you obsess over something like that. Like, that is so sad. I remember my Oma when she was in her late 80s always talking about not eating too much, like only taking 1 or 2 bites of her food so she doesn't get fat. And she was under 90 pounds, and for her height, it was not good. So I'm just hoping that if I'm lucky enough to make it to those ages, that I'm able to focus on living versus something like my belly. The idea of this is great. It is taking a clothing item and making it more versatile. So specifically getting lawn skirts that could also be worn as dresses. And I've seen so many people take clothing items and show how you can wear them in a different way, like a button-up top buttoned with another button-up top to make a skirt, or a lawn sleeve being turned into a halter top. I do have to admit, one of my flaws is not being able to style pieces differently than their intended style. So like a top that you could wear the wrong way, maybe wearing it backwards actually gives you this really cool boat neck neckline. It's so smart, it's so cool. I can't do that. All I keep thinking is I'm wearing the top the wrong way. It's extremely frustrating, and I do think that's why I'm way more invested in trying to make dresses over jeans work for me, because that's a little gateway. In my head, that's not how that dress was intended to be worn. It's supposed to be worn alone, but in pairing them together, I am pushing back on those thoughts, and hopefully will trickle down to other styles so I can participate with you all. I don't know what to call this one, but I think not liking or buying fake vintage collections from brands. So Ali is mentioning the Hollister Y2K collection, which I didn't even know was a thing, and it's interesting. Like, I see the appeal, but the execution, I think this comment on Hollister's video really outlines the issues of modern clothing quality and that of the early 2000s. I haven't seen this collection in person, but I can promise you that there are plenty of authentic Hollister early 2000s pieces secondhand. I know Hollister has been better with being more size inclusive compared to the early 2000s, so in a way I appreciate that people that wouldn't be able to wear the vintage versions can wear this version. But $49 for a 60% cotton and 40% virgin polyester hoodie, it's a no for me. Any brand that makes remakes of their vintage collections never ends up doing the original justice. When Dollskill revamped Delia's, like, that clothing is trash. I think you can even classify UNIF in this category since most of their clothes are based on vintage versions, and I love UNIF style of clothing, but it really is not the same quality of that vintage version, at least from the ones that I've seen and I've felt in person. I feel like we currently are in a skirts resurgence, and I am so happy about it. I've seen so many brands making new skirts, and I can always kind of feel bittersweet about something trending or being mainstream, because obviously there's like the overconsumption side, unethical manufacturing, but I know in like 6 months to a year, those are going to be at the thrift store, which again is kind of a bittersweet thing that I don't want it to go to the thrift store. I want people to enjoy and love the new clothing that they buy and not continuing to like donate and then buy new clothing and donate and blah, blah, blah. But on the upside, that means I'm gonna be able to hopefully get a skirt, because a denim skirt is on my thrift wish list. Skirts are such an amazing invention. I feel like they're more common in like elementary school fashion or kid fashion, not as much like adult, whereas I do feel like that's starting to change, and maybe they were big in the 2000s. I don't remember, I was a kid, so I don't know like what adults were wearing, but I feel like currently adults are wearing skirts, and it just makes sense. The freeness that you get with them and just not having to wear an extra item is just so much nicer. I wore my denim miniskirt. Well, I've worn it before with safety shorts and it's been totally fine. But in my video where I had fashion influencers style me, Allie had styled my denim skirt with a top that was a little bit more cropped. So you would see a sliver of my stomach, and my safety shorts that I own are only high rise, which with wearing them with the denim low rise skirt, I always wore a longer top so you didn't notice that the safety shorts were high rise. And I have been needing to get another pair that wasn't high rise, but I just haven't had the chance. So I had to fold it over itself to make it low rise, and it made the outfit. I really should have mentioned it in that video because I think that's also why I felt a little bit uncomfortable in the outfit. The safety shorts were folded over each other and it just felt so terrible. And also then trying to get the fabric of the safety shorts to lay properly under the skirt, and then using the bathroom, the skirt, the safety shorts, having to like redo everything versus the shorts already being built in. And it's just like one swipe down, one swipe up after using the bathroom or putting it on. It makes sense. The last fashion propaganda you're falling for, and I am too, in this video is full bush and a bikini. I already talked about being pro body hair in my last video, but since it's now summer, I wanted to include this because this one specifically for feminine presenting people should be completely normalized. Trying to shave your bikini line is the worst experience. Like sometimes I actually enjoy shaving my legs. I don't want to feel like I have to, and I don't always shave my legs, but sometimes it's kind of nice. It's kind of like a little me time in the shower. But shaving the bush is exhausting. It's messy. It's never perfect. I always end up cutting myself. So this is one that I need to reprogram my mind, because it is something that I think most people feel like they have to do, including me, unfortunately. I think that's why laser hair removal was so popular for that specifically, and waxing is always part of every video that is getting ready for vacation. I actually had a guy one time insinuate that I don't take care of myself because I had a couple of loose hairs coming out of my bikini. I can't have a full bush, but men are literally walking around looking like Bigfoot. Alrighty, I feel like that was a good one to end on. Thank you all so much for watching, and for everyone that sent in their entries. Let me know any fashion propaganda you're actually falling for that I didn't include in this video in the comments. This video and the last video have been really fun ways to explore different concepts, ideas, trends, opinions, especially ones that wouldn't really make a fully fleshed out video, but maybe that I have wanted to talk about. If you would like to see my face again, then make sure to subscribe right down below, and also follow me on Instagram, which is alexsunshine83. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!